I was 7 years old, I started competing as a high-performance tennis player in BC. By the time I was 13 years old, I suffered a complete burnout. Now, I'm rebuilding my relationship to the sport I once loved, going back to my old coaches and peers as I train for my first tournament in over 10 years. Welcome to the return.
How does tennis make me feel at its best? Entertained.
At its best, it's community for me.
At its best, I absolutely love it. I love hitting the ball.
Definitely peaceful.
At its best, tennis makes me feel connected when I'm playing with you, when I'm playing with friends.
At its best, I think that's probably when I'm like the happiest. I love it, like in the summertime, being on the court, nobody else around, just you and your friends, having a good laugh, you know, some smack talk while you're playing points. You're just, yeah, summertime and tennis just go hand in hand, and I love it. And it's just kind of like euphoric at times, where it's definitely the best memories I think I've had in my life.
When I started, the community was so new to me. So every person I met felt like they were on this similar journey to me. And a lot of them were my friends. There were girls my age. It's who I spent majority of my time with. I didn't have time to go to the playground after school because I'd go to the tennis courts. Before school, I would wake up at 5 a.m. to get to North Van to hit with the girls and then go to school. So it was really like the girls I became friends with.
I think like in Vancouver, because it is kind of like the tennis community is a lot smaller, so I feel like there obviously was like a lot of competitiveness in that. So I think it was difficult because like a lot of your best friends, like you would be training with them, you'd be supporting each other, and then the next day you'd have to go play against each other in a tournament. So I think it was really hard in that way. Like obviously there's a certain level of respect that goes with that. But it's also like you want to win, like you're in a tournament, but you also are playing against your friends. So I think it's a little bit tricky in that way. But at the end of the day, like we're all there for the same reason. Like we enjoy the sport, we want to succeed. So I think like there is like a level of respect that goes with that. But I think it is hard when you're like constantly playing your friends, and it's like you train together, you might have warmed up together that same day and then have to go play against each other later. But I will say like a lot of my best friends were in the tennis community growing up, and I think it's so nice because you can kind of relate on that level. Like I know I had to leave high school early to like go play tennis and stuff like that. So I feel like sometimes I missed out on those like a lot of the high school experiences and like being with everyone, getting to hang out with everyone. And so having friends like in the tennis community was huge because it like made you feel like you belong. You have like a nice friend group and stuff that understands you, that has a similar lifestyle as you. So it kind of like made like missing out on the high school stuff a little bit easier.
Hi! Oh my God, so good to see you!
Oh my goodness!
It's been so many years. I know.
How are you?
I was gonna say.
Like when Noah first reached out to me, I just started thinking about, we bonded over, I don't know if you remember this has nothing to do with tennis, but we bonded over Bridge to Terabithia.
Yeah.
Like,
that's what we're playing.
Yes, yeah.
That's
so like,
what
that was you have no idea. That was actually like such a huge part of my childhood, and like that memory is associated with you. And I think that's so cool because like, I think you were the first like memory that I had also that like outside of tennis, like my friends in tennis, we could still have fun. Yeah. When practice wasn't always that fun.
Yeah, I feel like you were also my first like friend in tennis. You were like, we had play dates.
Yes.
Like our parents would take care, like I would go over to your house, or your parents would take me somewhere, and then you and I would hang out. That is what we played in the forest.
No, it was Bridge to Terabithia.
The community for the high performance boys was always very fun. I had a lot of fun growing up playing tennis with my peers, and to this day I'm still really close with some of them. Some of them are my best friends, and I can see that going on for the rest of my life. So, boys have a way of being able to compete on court and and then after competing, they're able to push tennis aside and be friends.
So that's my highest ranking, was losing from you in consolations.
Oh my God.
And then you aged out, and I was like, number 4, baby. Yeah.
You're welcome then.
I think the beauty of the Vancouver tennis community is literally like when you were just mentioning to me how over all these years, like the people that you grew up kind of playing tennis with, those that have come back to Vancouver, I feel like I keep in touch here and there with a lot of these people that I grew up playing tournaments with, and we might not have known each other very well, but I think just tennis creates that sense of community where like I know that we've kind of shared this similar background, and so like you can always connect on that one thing, and I think it's so cool to see that. And yeah, like I think I'm still part of that community, and now I'm exploring, you know, playing at different clubs and just exploring a different side of tennis now that we're, you know, not in that high performance junior phase. I'm trying to really like enjoy it now.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Also, Vancouver being so small, it allows us to be able to like, it's the same people.
Yeah.
It's like that was maybe the like when we were younger, it's like, oh, it's all the same people. But when we're older, it's like, oh, it's all the same people.
All the same people. Yeah. And then you see the new juniors come up, and like sometimes you get a chance to hit with them, and then like all of our friends is like parents as well. Like, you know, it just feels like somehow it's still the same community.
No, I just can understand if I'm rested or not very easily, and I could never get, so just the quietness alone.
Yeah.
Like I've never had this much melatonin in my body.
Oh my gosh.
Getting
I'm so
up.
happy for you. You get to finally sleep.
And many people around me will be very happy too, because I don't know what type of creature I would have been. Now I'm kind of like mellower, a bit relaxer. Do I think if, in a different way, we are doing a better job creating better grassroots experience for juniors and adults, and especially juniors aspirers to move on? It is fair to say yes. I've been literally 19 and a half years, soon to be 20 years involved in coaching tennis in Canada. I've been privileged to go through multiple coaching certifications with Tennis Canada, which is one of the best in the world. And seeing the overall efforts delivered by Tennis Canada, Provincial Association, to build a strong grassroots and create infrastructure, coaching, training curriculum, all variety of supports to provide coaches, to provide facilities, to provide provinces with tools that enable more players to play tennis and be able to play the game of tennis, not do stroking. So let me give you an example. Tennis, unfortunately, was one of the latest adapter to scaling down the court size, the ball compressions, the racket size for children. You never put a 5, 6, 8 years old in a professional soccer pitch and give them a size 5 soccer ball. So tennis was a little bit too backwards in adopting that. Belgium, France adopted, and Canada really took on from 2004 onward, and that alone enables so many children to come and use appropriate court size equipments that make them learn the game much faster and be able to succeed more and therefore stay in it. So not only you get the overall growth, but because there is enough success, you get retention, and now they want to stay in the game, they want to bring their buddies in the game, and same applies to the adults. So that alone is a shift of culture. So yes, I think we've done a great job paying attention to that grassroots, feeding kids that move on towards the performance, and not sacrifice a huge bulk of the participations for the sake of that one talented kid that no one is there to see at age 12, 14, or 16 max gonna quit and leave.
The Gay Games happened in Vancouver in 1990, and there was a tennis tournament as part of that, that a bunch of members, I guess, or a bunch of the founding members played in. So shortly after that, in 1991, they formed the VTA, and were playing kind of what we still run today, which is the play sessions. Yeah, and they've run ever since 1991. Winter, we have 1 session a week, and in summer we are able to run 3 because we have outdoor courts, which is great. And it's just you sign up and you're assigned a court. There's 4 people on a court, and it's just kind of less. There is some competitiveness, but it's a less competitive kind of social environment to play tennis. Yeah.
What is your favorite value of the BTA?
Yeah, I would say inclusiveness. I hope that people feel that they can join the club, that it's a welcoming environment, they have a good time, and it's friendly.
Ooh, one of the greatest pressures a young tennis player might be facing, I'd say, again, I think it's the image of like your parents' pressure on you, or like the image that you kind of hold in this tennis community, because it's just, you know, you play all these tournaments in the city, and again, like we were talking about, you almost have this like reputation that's attached to the club that you play for, how much you train, and I think like a lot of that is like projection of the parents and the coaches themselves, so like the environment of the player. And I think because you're so young, like it becomes more of a projection of family.
It's a performance, so then the prestige goes with performance coaching, for instance, right? Early on, I was doing high performance tennis, but then I kept switching to grassroots, okay, competitive juniors, grassroots coach development. I completely switched, and I couldn't be happier as a person, as a professional, that I'm working with grassroots, because I get to see these people for life, and they don't resentfully leave the sport. And it's just a lot more rewards come with it. So that's been done on the coach front. So if you're not just incentivizing people for higher positions and higher pay, only if you're a high performance coach, but also if you're a club professional and you're growing tennis and community and grassroots, then you will have more people in that environment. They care about those people, that your players and juniors and families, and then grassroots tennis grow that way. So the coaching that goes with it, the curriculum goes with it, the equipment goes with it, the culture shift that they've done has truly made tennis as one of the most growing sports in Canada.
So the significant increase in tennis in Vancouver, I've been here 10 years. I've noticed an increase in players wanting to play in the tournaments, specifically Hollyburn. I don't know if it's because, can I say we do a great job in running tournaments and people like the experience here. My assumption is other clubs are getting the same results when people are trying to enter their tournaments. I think there was a huge influx during COVID because tennis was a COVID-friendly sport, and all of a sudden we could play tennis, we could play golf. So as a tennis coach, suddenly the phones go off the hook because they can't play soccer, they can't go and play hockey. It was all, yeah, I'm sure golf took the same hit. So I think there was a massive increase there. I think the other big thing is it's that FOMO effect, where if we can't, then we want. So if I can't get into a tournament, I want to get into a tournament, so I need to sign up for more tournaments. So instead of planning a tournament schedule as a player normally would, I'm going to play these 3 tournaments, and then I'm going to have a training period and then play these 3 tournaments. I think now, because of everyone being aware that tournaments are so difficult to get into, we're just going to sign up for all of them and get into whatever ones we can. And that makes it tough for a junior player to create a schedule where they can have a specific block to develop and train and then go and put that into practice.
That makes sense, yeah. I remember the summer was the like tournaments every weekend, and then the winter was like every other.
Exactly.
Because you slow down to really develop your skills.
And then now it's just all the time.
To create a great event in BC, I think there is just, well, there's a need for more courts, because the issues that we run into most of the time these days is there's just not enough capacity to allow everybody to enjoy playing the sport. So more courts, but you know, that's I think we're many years out from actually being able to meet the demand.
At its worst, tennis makes me feel excluded because tennis is a very elitist sport. You need a lot of money to play this sport. You need to look a certain way to play this sport. And it's very easy to feel excluded in tennis. My memories of that exclusion is probably through you. And maybe this is moving past tennis, but I think it's when you go to these places where you and I are from a middle class family in Burnaby, we're not from a waspy tennis background. Sorry to all the tennis watchers out there. And so when you enter a space, and I would only enter those spaces when I came to root for you, you immediately feel like you're not part of this world.
Yeah, our relationships to community and tennis is so different because as like a competitive player, my community was very much the people who are trying to go pro, even at like 10 years old, or the people, the parents paying for that kid to try to go pro.
Yeah.
Versus something I've seen from you and you've introduced me to is like you've added me to like community groups where you can find a player in Vancouver to hit with, and you've introduced me even to your friends who like Ryan, folks who also play, and to yourself. It's a very different stakes to the community than the one I was raised in, which in my adulthood has been an interesting change to see people play tennis with lower stakes.
My thoughts on the Vancouver tennis community is quite mixed because it's my home. I love it. It's what I grew up with, but it's also not the best. And I can acknowledge that it's not the best. It's very cliquey, very isolated. You're looking at, people trying to find hitting partners, but it's hard to find people that are at your level once you get past a certain threshold point. So you're looking at other girls, even guys as well. At this point, you can't be picky. You take whoever is pretty much close enough. But a lot of the times, the people who are on top like to stay with themselves. They have their own coaches, they have their own hitting partners, they have their own routines, and they don't want to share it with you, right? So, they're looking to win because that's kind of what fuels us all in this sport is that you want to win. And because just how difficult it is to actually be walking away as the winner in the tournament. People get very secretive. They won't tell you what kind of schedules they have, what they're eating, who even their coaches is at point, right? You can see that like some people might have like actual sports psychologists working with them, right? You can kind of like identify that, okay, that's an actual like sports psychologist technique that she's implementing, but she won't tell you who the sports psychologist is, how many times she sees them, right? Most of the times it's kind of like when you go back to high school and think, oh, I didn't study for this exam, and yet they still got an A.
Right.
So you see a lot of like that same energy that's being brought into, the field.
They'll fly to Paris too. Won't race
So I find that the community in tennis is much more cliquey compared to cycling is kind of the one I know the best now. But when I first started cycling, I was kind of invited on local group rides with people I didn't really know. There was one person I knew, and just everyone on that group ride were immediately friendly. You'd be talking the whole time. They'd compliment you on something. They'd be like, oh, let's ride this next week, or, just they were very inviting, and it made me want to continue the sport. It made me want to get better, and I think that's the reason why I started and continued cycling was because of the community, because at that time I didn't really need to do another sport. If it was cliquey and standoffish, I probably wouldn't have bothered. I think for me, it's all about having fun. I still view this as a fun hobby, even though it's definitely not just that anymore, but I think that's the reason why I'm in it is because of the community.
Like I've met some lifelong friends through the VTA, each season meeting up with old friends or meeting new friends, playing tennis. I think it's a really important aspect, especially for someone queer playing sport. It can be an alienating experience sometimes. Yeah, being able to come together, you know, there's already a sense of, there's already things you can connect on that you enjoy the game of tennis. You're queer identifying probably, or at least an ally. So yeah, it's an opening, welcoming space for you to play the sport, hopefully enjoy it.
Do you think yourself or the members of the VTA would have a similar relationship to tennis if they had not joined the VTA?
No, I don't think it would be the same. I don't think it would be possible. We have many tournaments. Oh, I'm getting goosebumps. It just wouldn't be possible. We play tournaments against other queer clubs in other cities like Seattle, Portland, LA. There's members who travel to other GLTA tournaments, which are a gay club, a gay, I don't know, association of clubs throughout North America. There's even some, like they're throughout the world actually. So that just wouldn't be possible. We have other tournaments where we travel as a team to play those other cities as well. That just wouldn't happen. Those connections wouldn't be made.
What are you most proud of that the VTA community has done?
For me, I think it's almost existing. So I've spoken to some of those founding members. Actually, they're still some of them part of our club, and they've kind of told me that the club was called Vancouver Tennis Association because back at that time, maybe it wasn't as acceptable in society to be gay or be outwardly gay or lesbian. So that's why it's called the Vancouver Tennis Association. It's not particularly gay or out there or queer. For me, I was gonna like the fact that the VTA exists and that those founding members, kind of what they did and set up for us today. Yeah, I just highly respect and I'm thankful for that. So I'm super proud. I'm also super proud that we are able to be more accessible and be more open, and our website has a big rainbow flag on it, and just be more outwardly queer. One thing if I can touch on, which was like, again, I'm getting goosebumps, but we recently had a member who was 16 years old join the club. Typically our membership is probably averaging late 30s to 40s. And I think the youngest member before that, within the last two, like we never really had members, as far as I know, under 23, 24, 25. Last season or the season before, we had a member join who was 19 years old. And then just recently, we had someone who's 16 years old join the club. And for me, I was like thinking back when I was 16, and if my parents had given me had been able to provide me a space to join a club and be like know queer people that were outwardly queer, like whether I was queer or not, my parents didn't have, like, it doesn't matter, but like I wasn't exposed to any queerness, especially not in sport. And to see that now with a 16-year-old who has joined our club, and I'm just like, that's so cool.
What makes a strong tennis community is, to me, communication. But I think communication between all of us and allowing everyone to have a voice can really help build a stronger community.
But if I was contributing to create an environment, to create a culture, to create a team that can continue to provide people the service that I'm envisioning, what we've created in the past 3 years, a path for Tennis for Life, bring and hook people in. The legacy is you, it's not me.
I would love for the VTA to leave a legacy of more inclusive tennis in Vancouver, a space for those queer individuals to come together and play tennis. That's what I would want. Like, nothing else. I don't know. That's fine. That's all I need. Like, that's what I would like to see for the VTA. Yeah.
In my return to tennis, I think I started finding value in the community for sure. I started feeling, the more people I talked to, the more I felt not embarrassed to come back and just feeling so supported, and people were very excited for me. which made me feel like it just felt like building blocks, like raising me and raising me and raising me. Every interview I did, every person I talked to, every person from the community was like a building block, making me feel more and more confident to get here. I do feel like I have a place in the Vancouver tennis community now. I think my place is a person who hopefully will play more tournaments, who will get coffee with her old coach, who will hit with her peers that she was friends with when she was a kid, and who's gonna make new friends.